friends concerning the heart of the matter. I believe that every story matters and every heart deserves.
Hello, happy weekend viewers out there. It's such a privilege to be live with you here again on Timeout with Counselor Debby. It has always been an exciting time coming on this show. And you don't know what you are doing to your friend and your neighbors by just beckoning on them to hook on onto this channel. And I must tell you, this program has been impactful and it has been life transforming. Last week we had a comment, we had a message from someone from the Ashanti region. He said he was just about to end his life when he hooked up onto this program and he had courage again. So that gives us the light that what we are doing is affecting lives out there. So pick up your phone, call your friend, call your neighbors, call your colleagues. And today promises to be a very exciting time because with me in the studio, it's, in fact, the man with me in the studio, let me give you a brief of our meeting. He was actually my lecturer. And when I finished my master's, I proceeded to do my MPhil. And when I saw the content of our lectures, when I saw statistics, my heart beat. I was like, what do a counselor need statistics for crying out loud? And you know, it was so fearful, and but with him coming on board to lecture us, he made everything so simplified. And I thank God for those knowledge gains. So it's someone that, you know, has been in this journey, learning. He's still learning and he's still learning. So today is that time you have to pick up your phone, pick up your iPad, pick up your jotter, your pen, because, you know, I've always said that writing something down is very, very important. What you write down, if you pick up that note, 5-10 years to come, you are still sure that you are going to get the knowledge that you have written. So with me in the studio today is no one but Dr. Napoleon Beulah Sam. And who is he? He's a very big man, a senior lecturer in the UDS at the head of the Department of Medical Research and Innovation School of Medicine. And he's also a counselor. He's also a student at the Trinity Theological Seminary, begun at the Methodist Church here in Ghana. Viewers, with me in the studio this morning is Dr. Sam. Welcome him as he comes live with us this morning.
Thank you.
Doc, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Debbie, Counselor Debby.
Wow.
It's a pleasure
having
me.
Thank you so much. You know, Doctor is also a pastor, I know. And you know, Saturdays are always a very busy time for our big men. But anyone you see come out to this studio, it's just the heart of the love for the humanity and for the people out there to come and share out of the deposit of the knowledge that they have learned. So when they come here, know that it's a sacrifice. I want us all to make the most of the time today. And we have a very interesting topic we are going to be talking about today, which is nothing but conflict resolution. You know, as a counselor, sometimes we hear here and there, and our ears are filled. In fact, so many times it can be so problematic that sometimes some people have just made up their mind, oh, this thing, it can't work again. And you want to be like, no, it can still. And, you know, as counselors also, we don't impose our decisions on our clients. We only counsel and we make them make their own choices. So, but Viv, I want to ask you this morning, what are some of the common misconceptions people have about conflict resolution?
Thank you very much, but let me take this opportunity to wish all our viewers well. Before I talk about the misconception, I first of all would want people to understand the conflict in marriage. So when you understand, and in terms of the resolution, there is misconception, you are able to identify. So when we talk about conflict in marriage, as for marriage, we are all aware, simply we talk about the union between maybe the wife and then the husband, as far as we are concerned. But the conflict thereof is what exactly? That's what I want to put across for us to understand among the couples. One, sometimes we talk, generally we are looking at disagreements. Now, this disagreement in itself may not culminate into what we call conflicts, but the unresolved disagreement. In other words, if there are offenses, if you don't resolve them, it becomes conflict. And again, if you are unable to reconcile these disagreements, it would end up in conflict. And sometimes what is so important as far as couples are concerned is about forgiving the offenses or forgiving one another so that you don't get to the conflict zone. I would look at a situation where maybe when you are sailing on the sea, you see the captain is the one that read. In other words, he uses the radar to direct the ship, right? Now, if he's directing the ship, we have the normal threats, maybe the waves,
the storms.
So the waves, they know how to maneuver very well. But when it comes to turbulent moment, if you remember in the Bible, Jesus Christ was in the boat and there was turbulent moment.
Yes.
At that point, you will see that the disciples, they were so experienced, but they couldn't maneuver. They needed Jesus to calm the waters. And so sometimes in conflict, no matter how experienced, it will still come. And so that would let me say that we can not eliminate conflicts, but we can reduce the frequencies or the severity of the conflicts.
Okay, thank you so much.
And so in that sense, if we look at it critically, you will see that what even would bring the conflict in itself, what would bring it, as far as two people are living together, or husband and then wife, because we are made differently. In other words, we will talk about our individual differences.
So that even posts me to my next questions. Why do we even have conflict in marriage? Why do we have conflict in marriage? Why?
Yes, you see, we are different, especially in terms of even the environment we find ourselves. It shapes us. So when it shapes us and we come, depending on where you were brought up, depending on where I also brought up from, when we get together, and yours, for instance, if you go and marry somebody who grew up from the street, and you, by God's grace, you came from a house that was so cultured. In this sense, when you meet, and the man you have as a husband may not even treasure when you lay table for him. So you think you have done something, but he's not really enthused about it. And when that happens, because of the differences and where you are coming from, it will bring difference. And then you also understand that apart from there are individual differences as I've indicated. What I like, you may not like. And once we are living for that long, marriage is forever. And once something is forever, definitely we can offend one or the other. There can be hurt here and there. But of course, if there are hurts, what will you do? And that is when the resolution is very important. And so the question of what are the misconceptions? You asked what are the misconceptions? I would say that we don't have, from what I've said, we don't have one fixed solution for all challenges, all conflicts. There are different approaches to different conflicts. So you may have people, even twins, whom have grown from different environments. Maybe some estate, some maybe within the street, and they have the approach towards how they should handle communication. So in that sense, when the husband, and when maybe the wife is talking to the husband, and the husband does not meet her in terms of communicating with her aggressively. He thinks or she thinks that the man doesn't love her. In another breath, somebody who lived in a very serene environment or who has been trained how to comport yourself and whatever, when the man shouts at her, she thinks that that man is doing something untoward. So in this case, if they have the same challenge, conflict, and you want to approach that with the same one-fix solution, it will not work. You need to understand the concept and then approach it very, very well. So again, what we need to also understand is that we always think that we need a third party to solve our problem. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying that it's wrong. Other than that, what is our work?
Sure.
What is our work? But the challenge is when you make it a dependency syndrome, without them you cannot do anything. And of course, when it is happening like that, it becomes devastating. Because the person himself or herself is not ready to solve his or her problem, take up responsibility. So as counselors, normally we look at how to build them skills. Are you okay? Resolution skills themselves so that they can develop it in their approach. It's very important.
Okay.
Now, another thing we can look at that has become misconception is whenever this thing is very important, we need to look at it. People think they are more right.
Exactly.
They are more right to extend that more than resolving the conflict.
And I think it says that some people, they want to always win the argument.
I'm telling you.
And when you win the argument and you lose your friend or your partner, I don't know what it's like again.
and that is something we need to understand. Marriage is not about you winning. It's about 100% sacrificial. You need to understand. And that would make me say that in terms of handling this, it's because we sometimes don't understand our responsibilities in marriage. Sometimes. Because as far as I'm concerned, there is something in conflict that we need to appreciate. That is somebody who can be a peacemaker and somebody who can be a peace dweller. So in that approach, if I am a peace dweller, normally if I am a peacemaker, normally by virtue of his personality traits, is able to initiate peace.
They want peace by all means.
So if they are in a marriage, when there is an issue, he will come and say, darling, honey, let it go.
Let it go.
Because we really need to move on. There's and sometimes the negativity aspect is that they think that they are always taking the move. Why is the other side not bringing in or coming in? It becomes difficult. But that is not the way to go. That thinking is so negative because, as I've said, marriage is 100% sacrificial. So whatever you do to sustain the marriage, you need to do it.
And presently, I have a client at hand that she feels, she has been doing all, but the other partner is not coming around. So what can we say to someone like that? So
that is what you should know that. You see, such a person, you need to understand your trait, your personality trait. Perhaps he is that type who would always want to go for it. Are you okay? Get a solution and move on. And then you understand if you have learned of your colleague or your partner, what is his trait? Maybe that reserved type. So you don't expect him or her to come make that initiation. No.
And that's what's actually bringing the stress on the person I'm talking about, because she feels, it's always her. It's always her trying to, to make this, and the person is not even just at all. So it's becoming, I can't do this again.
Now, the question is, when he goes to make peace, does the partner accept it or not? He or she always accept it. You know why? Because he or she is a peace dweller. Those people bring the peace, they will accept it, but they cannot initiate it.
Wow.
And it's very important that we identify such rules in our marriages so that people will understand that we appreciate whatever contribution each one is bringing on board. Other than that, you think that you are making the effort and his own is or her own doesn't matter. It matters.
Wow.
Because I would accept it. If I don't accept it, we'll still be in conflict. But because I've accepted it, so it's also crucial.
Wow. Viewers out there, I hope you can hear that. We have peacemakers and we have peace dwellers. So this is what we need to identify. Who are you? Are you a peacemaker? Are you a peace dweller? So it doesn't matter who initiates it. Even it is written in the book of the Lord that blessed are the peacemakers. So if you are depositing peace, I'm sure there is a reward for all our gesture, for all our action. So it's very, very important that no matter who is initiating it, what is the end result? What is the end product of what we want? What is our desire? Our desire is to make sure that there is peace in the house. So I'm sure we are learning today, because there is a lot that is going, a lot of marriages are hurting. You know, for the past weeks, we've been bringing in couples that stayed together for many years. But today we are going professionalism in the sense that we want to learn from those who are actually in the field. So I hope you are learning, I hope you are jotting down, and I hope you are writing. All that is very, very important for you. Doc, this also brings me to a book I'm reading at the moment. You know, the man was actually trying to explain helpmeet. You know, most times a lot of people spell or think is helpmate, meaning M-A-T-E, while it is helpmate as in M-E-E-T. So he says, if you are actually a helpmate, that means two people you want to always want to be in contention. But if you know as a woman, you have come into this man's life to actually help him. And the man was actually analyzing in that book that for every human being, we have loopholes, especially for the man. And that is, in fact, the reason why God most times bring you into union with the other party. So all you have to do is look out for his weakness and see how you could help him. He said, if you marry a man and he's so strong and so, you know, so perfect, then you don't need a man again in your life. So if people begin to view it that loophole is not to my disadvantage, it's for me to make my partner a better person.
Of course, you are perfectly right. You know what? God knows what he does. He understands it better than we do. And so when he brings you together, he understands the union very well. Yeah. We complement each other. You see, in marriage, as it stands, you don't really look for whether I'm winning or this person is winning or not. You always shield it. If you look at the Bible, and the Bible is making us that man loved your wife. You loved her out of her weaknesses. Yes, she may have a weakness, but it is your responsibility to love her no matter how she is, how she poses. It's very important that we take that note. And then the woman too, you have your, you don't look at the man and you think that this man is not handle, you cannot handle because of his nature. Of course, what the Bible makes you to understand is that submission, which you should do, why not? Respect and take him as your husband. It's very important that the rules are very important. We take notice of and we complement each other. It's not about who has won and who is the superior.
So we also would like you to also share a bit knowledge for us. How do we help our viewers and our clients to identify, challenge negative thought patterns that may be contributing to the conflict? Because that's also very, very important.
Yeah, very important. You see, the negative thoughts, the patterns, it normally communicates your reaction to communication, how you respond effectively to communication. So it affects your response, in communication. So if you are a client and you come, and some of the negative thoughts people have, One, my husband doesn't care about me. My husband doesn't love me. And then some of the husband, oh, my wife does not respect me. So in that sense, if we are looking at such and a client comes, first of all, I think it is my duty to counsel you, which means I will aid you to, I will let you write some of the thought associated with that. Are you okay? This negative thought, you will write them. I will ensure that you write them. So when you write them, then sometimes you may think that it's negative, but maybe when we go through it might not necessarily be negative. So we will categorize them and we will know the pattern, those that have that effect. And so when we know the effect, I ought to help you now debunk these negative thoughts. So in helping you as a person, what do we do? Yes, my wife, my husband, or my husband does not respect me. Of course, maybe certain attributes has shown that. But you, as a person, have you also considered that maybe your husband does not understand what you do, or maybe where you're coming from? These are things that can balance your thinking. And it is our duty as counselors to infuse in with these thoughts. So I will make sure I bring in these thoughts, balancing the negative thoughts. Let you understand that, yes, is it really true that your husband does not care about you? Is it really true that your husband does not love you? Of course, maybe he may not have understood your feelings. What if you give that chance? It is workable. So once we initiate all these, I call it balances, or sometimes neutrals, or sometimes positive, because your thought has been negative, positive. I will make sure you pen them down, because these thoughts now become what we call futuristic usage. In other words, in future, when things are coming up, these are the thoughts you should erupt. Are you okay? Come to stay in your mind. And when I do that, one thing I would also try hard to do for you, aid you, is now how do you react to such thoughts? Now I can maybe let you refrain whenever such thoughts are refrain and come back. In other words, if I say refrain, what I think through what you are going to say and then say it. I need to aid you through that. Think through whatever because you know that once it comes and you react, you give some unpalatable statement. But now, think through your statements and then say it. And then another crucial thing, the last thing I normally do is that sometimes what is going on and the reaction thereof that has ensued, it is on a particular need. Particular need. Let me give you a scenario. Husband, wife, and then husband, they have children, they have maids around. Maybe some people are staying with them. Then the wife maybe tells the husband, could you help the children to do their homework? Perhaps when maybe that statement came, the husband was doing something, was busy doing something. So along the line, about finishing, or maybe is in the process, maybe the maid comes in, demand for something, the husband goes there to do it. Or maybe unconsciously. He does it. He does it. Now, the woman now will take offense. What is ours? What we're supposed to do, you've neglected it.
Wow.
And for that matter, I am taking offense. So when she takes offense, there is the need. The need is to teach the children. Are you okay?
Yes.
But we have moved away from it. So on that note, I teach you what exactly was the need. And that need, can we revisit it? So that when he pursued it, there will be peace.
There will be peace.
That's exactly what. So the need identification is very important.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Need identification. So that is how I can maybe help a client through that. It's very important through that.
I hope we are learning. He has said so many things. It's for us to not just be the one that is going to listen alone, but to put to work. Because it is said that it is not what we know that makes us, but it is what we do with what we know that actually makes us. A lot of people know some of these right things to do. It's just for them to put it into work and to put it into action so that they can have all the peace they can think of. And it's very important for our mental health, because when you have a lot of troubles here and there, you can't even think straight. You can't even be productive. You can't even assimilate. You can't comprehend. You can't concentrate. It even affects your business, your career, whatever things you're doing. So that's why it is worth the sacrifice for us to ensure that we do all that we can, that we ensure that we live with peace with one another. And we also like Doc to also help us to discuss the importance of forgiveness in conflict resolution, because we need to know how we can facilitate the forgiveness process.
Counselor, it is very crucial in terms of conflict and we having forgiveness. And you see, even in the Bible, if God has not forgiven our sins, you know how our sins could have heaped mountains, huge. So we as couples or married people, we need to learn what forgiveness is all about. And it is one of the key to conflict resolution. It's very important. Now, whenever imagine doing something against someone or your partner, and then that the thing is against you, you walk forward, or you go forward and tell him or her that, you know what, I have forgiven you, let's move on. This brings some assurance, and there's a trust, and it brings that orientation that we can begin afresh.
Fresh again, sure.
Are you okay? And you will see that kind of forgiveness facilitates so many things, happiness in the marriage. Now the question is, how then can I help? You see, as a counselor, your main work, as we have always said, aid counsel for them to take a decision. I love a situation where when these people come, I will let you pour out whatever is in you.
Yeah, so you have to say all.
Say everything.
Yeah,
so you give that chance. It's like emotions. Sometimes the ability.
A lot of people have bottled up.
Yes.
They have bottled up and they just have burst.
The ability. So sometimes somebody says, I have said whatever is worrying me. I've been able to pour. If I had not said this, I wouldn't have been comfortable. So it's a process to ease maybe emotion and tension. So you allow them to say, it's very important that we need to accept that. Again, there is something called boundary sets. Sometimes I need to let you know how to say something. Yes, it's a whole topic we can come in. But in the literal sense, I just want to give our viewers the essence of setting boundaries. You see, you can't all the time be there and being hurt. It causes you, even health-wise, it may not augur well with you. So, can't we set boundaries for yourself? There are certain things, the moment it gets there, it is over. We cannot continue. So that you will also be at peace. Now, maybe I should try and give a scenario. Couples, maybe that the husband would always want to ask the woman to borrow monies or give him monies. You keep on. The woman, whenever he comes, I need to do this. The woman will give. But unfortunately, the man doesn't use it for whatever he asks for.
Wow.
So in that sense, you keep on giving, and you get to a time, this woman becomes furious. You get it? You get furious because you can't handle it again. And especially what he uses it for. So what can you do? Boundary setting. This time around, whenever the man comes in to take, okay, I have it. I won't say I won't give it to you. Let me go with you. Let's do what we want to do.
Beautiful.
It's a boundary.
It's a boundary.
It's a boundary. And the last thing maybe I normally do is I need to initiate some symbol of gesture. Shake yourself, hug yourself. Are you okay? It releases them. It just makes them to feel that assurance.
Yes.
And then sometimes you eat together. And it is all some kind of diagnosis we do for them. So it's very important we initiate forgiveness in conflict resolution.
Yeah, that's very good to hear. So that's why it's good for us to know that we need to create a safe space for expression and listening.
I'm telling you.
A lot of people, they are not active listeners.
Of course.
They just want to pour and pour and pour. They are not crucial about what the other partners has to say. And another thing I think we need to always do is to also encourage empathy and understanding. You know, let's feel what each other are feeling. When you feel what your partner is feeling, it gives you this consciousness that, no, let me ensure she's in a good state of mind. Let me ensure that this is right. Also to foster accountability and restitution. Just like the scenario you have just cited. If the man has been requesting for money, he collects the money, he's not using it for the purpose. You know, it weakens the woman to want to further helping. So it's very important that we also do support self-reflection and personal growth. Let's know our triggers. What is it that this man will do that will want to make me get angry? Then let me see if I can actually avoid it. So it's
you are right. And then sometimes the empathy, we should go a bit further to be compassionate. Because compassionate means that I want to help you. Out of your empathy, you help. You do something about it.
It's not just feeling it.
It's not just feeling it,
but you actually want a way out.
Yes, you need to be compassionate.
That's very good. Thank you, Doc. We are bombarding you today because we know we don't know when next we'll have opportunities to see you on this, but we know we are going to be bringing you over and over again because our viewers out there need to actually learn a lot of things. But because our 1 hour we can't do a lot, but we have to pick the topics little by little to ensure that we'll be able to go around what is hurting and what people are experiencing. So to go to my next question, I would like to also know how we could help our viewers and our clients develop effective communication skills such as active listening and assertive expression of needs, just like I've just mentioned earlier.
Yes, it is very important as far as our listening ability is concerned. Now, if you are in a marriage and conflict erupts, sometimes your active listening ability becomes default. So what I normally encourage is always try to have eye contact with whoever you are talking with. It is very, very important. And then if somebody is talking to you, like how I'm talking to you, and I don't see some kind of response in terms of maybe nonverbal, maybe nodding the head, oh yeah, it's true, I understand. The person feels like I'm
talking into the air. I'm not even sure I'm being heard at all.
So I encourage you to cultivate that habit so that whoever, your partner will know that he is also part. It's very painful when you are talking and the person look unconcerned.
In fact, someone once said that, in fact, you should move away from just asking just close-ended question like, hey, are you fine? Yes. Where are you going? There. And all that. And some people too, in order to avoid conflict, this is one of the things I've also actually discovered. They are trying to avoid conflict because they don't want trouble. They just want to withdraw. They want to keep to themselves. They don't want to communicate. Oh, because I don't know the one I will say now that will cause trouble. So what can you say to that?
That is what we call misconception in
8 a.m. For adverts and sponsorship, please contact 026 381 6967. Thank you.